It's my great pleasure to welcome Claire Harrison to the stage. Claire is a Chief Technology Officer at the MHRA. She's a technology leader, strategist, and innovator, and has worked across many sectors before joining the executive team at the MHRA. One or two people didn't answer my request for favourite songs, and now my secret has been outed. I don't think I'll ever get away with that one ever again. Claire holds a Master's in Technology Strategy and Management and is partway through a PhD in International Business, specialising in culture with technology. Ladies and gentlemen, Claire Harrison.
So MHRA, I'm Chief Digital and Technology Officer actually, and I have to include the digital, otherwise I miss out half of my team. But yeah, going well so far. What I wanted to talk about today, it's a lovely segue actually from David, because one of the things that we do obviously is regulate medtech and the use of AI and different types of software in medtech. And we're doing so much work with the PIM and looking at unique identifiers and so on. So I think David, he would have got a lot of brownie points from MHRA people here, especially Alison Cave. I can't see her, but she's our Chief Safety Officer. So what I wanted to talk about today was not how we regulate and what we're regulating. That's already covered, and I think quite a lot of people here will know about the work that we do there. And know our team. I want to talk about, when you think about the NHS 10-year plan, digital, not analog, digital transformation, and the parts that we're playing from that perspective. So it's how we're innovating, using technology, including AI, but there are other innovators on the block. Wait, get talking to me about quantum computing, and then we'll be having a party. So, what MHRA have been doing in the last 12 months or so is looking at AI across all our regulatory life cycle. So it could be from clinical trials through to assessments with medical assessors, through to post-market surveillance, keeping products safe once they're on the market and identifying really quickly if there are issues with that. So we prototyped for a lot of last year and early this year different ways in which we could use AI to really expedite those processes, so assisting our assessors, our scientists and so on in achieving the right results, the right decisions, but using technology as an aid. Decision support, not making the decision about whether or not what we think about clinical trials or if a medical product is ready for market and can stay there. It's assisting the humans, the users. So the slide behind me, I won't go through it in detail. It just shows a broad, high-level view of our regulatory life cycle. And some of the examples, not all of them are up there, of where we're using AI to expedite our processing around decision-making. One thing I should say, we have about, it always changes, but roughly 20, 30 use cases at any given time on different sort of processes or tasks and so on, where we can use AI to improve those considerably and significantly. But what we do, instead of taking a one-size-fits-all risk-averse blanket approach to every situation, we take a risk-proportionate look at how we will use technology. Safety always been a priority, but we can be more bold in some areas and less bold in others, and we take our cue from our subject matter experts who can guide us on how much we can push the boundaries. And one thing that's really helped with the success of the prototyping, many of which are going into live environments now or already are, and I'll quickly talk through those shortly. It's the environments or conditions for success. So we've seen a lot of organisations do lots of AI prototyping, but then it's difficult to get into a live productionized environment and sustain that. So meantime, we've been creating those environments or modifying them where they don't already exist. So things such as cyber, there is no point having the most cutting-edge technologies if they can't be kept safe and introduce higher risks in cybersecurity, for example. And lots of other things as well, support and maintenance and DevOps, so some quite technical teams as well that we have in place. So the first, I can't give demos, so I'm just giving overviews. The demos would take too long, but I just wanted to give you a taste of the work that we're doing, just sampling some of the different use cases. We have quite a few in clinical trials, and so this one here, what we found out with our subject matter experts is there is quite a lot of work around GMPs and compliance there, and lots of back and forth between our customers and our internal teams. So here we have created a tool that looks at a particular subject and looks at the types of information that's needed to submit in that particular part of the clinical trial, and goes and compares that with what's been submitted. And so I'll come to later the metrics, how much time we've saved and that kind of thing with these tools, but it's doing it automatically, assisting our internal teams, but also our customers as well. So it's cutting out that back and forth, and we can get it right first time. And so if you think about, don't want to say the backlogs word, but we had to do a lot of work at MHRA last year, particularly in clinical trials, to get down our backlogs, which were created for different, sometimes once in a lifetime, reasons, but this type of work as well goes towards that sustainability and making sure we have processes in place where we're using technology and to help prevent backlogs building up again. In other presentations, this is sometimes a live demo, but it's just to show across our solutions roughly what the tool looks like, how it's used by our customers who are submitting their information and applications and so on, what we look for, and roughly what the tool looks like as well. And we have different tools that users can use, our customers can use, and also internally as well. So yeah, just a quick run through of those. I won't go through all of them. Another part of our life cycle is British Pharmacopoeia, so inquiry handling. And again, the amount, when you think about the standards required and the amount of interaction that we have between teams and customers, there's lots of overheads there. Figuring out, well, there's an example there, a query regarding monograph for tramadol capsules, and what's required there. Is a different type of syringe filter better instead, and so on. And so our AI assistant comes back with an answer, but it also references, it shows the references that the tool has drawn upon in able to give that information. And what we do throughout all our AI work, we have guardrails. Like I say, it's risk proportionate, but the general pattern is the AI will take information and make decisions based on criteria that's set by subject matter experts, but also precedent as well. So decisions that have been made in the last 12 years, 5 years, whatever's deemed appropriate by our SMEs, and use that information to come up with a decision. Alongside that, we also have a user, a member of staff, who's not using any of this technology, it's not using AI at all, but again, using the same criteria and the same information, same data sources, and also reaching a decision. And so obviously, what we're hoping for is the end result where the AI assistant has come up with a decision that matches the one from the member of staff who would normally be doing that anyway. So that's a way that we sense-checked it a lot in the early days until we were confident that the results were of the higher quality and the decisions could be relied on, but it's still a subject matter expert who makes the decision in the end. And we also have a third team, red teaming. So what they're looking at is all the algorithms and the code that's created when creating the tools and using AI, and they're looking at trying to break it and hack it and everything else. So those are the sorts of guardrails that we have up. As our tools mature, and again, based on the risk, the risk level, risk appetite for each one of the different scenarios, it might be that we don't always then need an SME to also be doing the same checks, but what we will do, and are doing at the moment, is spot checking, so sampling different decisions that have come up with our AI tools. So safety and accuracy obviously is paramount, but all in proportion. The last one, this isn't in production, but it's one of our proof of concepts. There's no reason why it can't go into production. One thing I should say is our technical teams, they're not making the policy around when we use AI tools and so on. That's in collaboration with other teams. So that's why this one is still in, it's not in production yet, but it's built. So if you think about post-market then, post-approval, products are on the market. Let me think of some topical examples. Weight loss jabs, for example, puberty blockers and so on. So there's a huge demand for those. I don't think supply meets demand, and some of them are quite expensive as well, as you can imagine. So there are lots of either illegal websites selling authentic drugs, but they're illegal, they're not allowed to sell them. Or probably even worse is there are websites out there that are selling counterfeit products, so they're not even the right thing. So you can imagine how dangerous that is. So whereas for one of the team members in the enforcement team, ordinarily for a particular task it would take them about 30 hours to go and search based on the information that they have for these websites, and then a couple of processes that would be triggered. That normally takes 30 hours. With the AI tool that we've created, it now takes 3 hours, and we're still working on it as well in different phases to get that down to a lower level. It's also been used by, we've collaborated a lot, whether it's with other regulators, so Swissmedic, Health Canada and so on, but also with other organisations within the NHS and British Dental Association. They have similar issues, so the things that you find out, I think, normally a drill that dentists use, cost about £600. You can get them on the internet, not saying where, for a tiny fraction of that, but then they explode in patients' mouths and all sorts of horrible stories. So again, when you think about how our patterns, this is one of them, can be reused across the NHS, across the health system and beyond, there's so many possibilities there. So this is, that's, I think, probably the last example. This is just showing you the output. So yeah, this is from December. It looks at 266 websites in this particular example, whatever it's looking for. Straight away, it finds 12 that are definitely non-compliant and shouldn't be there. It finds 75 that are fine. We can leave those alone. And then there are 178 that need further analysis. And that can be done by either team members or another part of the AI tool. I don't have all the metrics here, actually, for some of the other examples that I showed. And I'm in the last minute, so I can't talk too much more about that. But some of the metrics are things I've already said where A particular process might have taken 30 hours, now it takes 3 minutes. Others that we looked at, I think might have been grounds for non-acceptance. They were 180 minutes for a particular task or process. That's now reduced to 35 seconds. So if you think of those different patterns, taking information, evaluating it, making a decision, you can use that pattern across all across our regulatory life cycle and outside of regulation in other settings. So if you can imagine those types of savings in time and efficiencies replicated all across, it really is quite significant. Just the last thing to say on this, to keep in mind, it sounds a bit, with what's in the media now, I don't know how much use it is for us to do our bit, but the cloud and AI and so on, it now has a bigger carbon footprint than the aviation industry. So it's just to bear in mind there are smart ways to use AI and to code and to support it. And so things such as generating an image using AI takes as much energy as fully charging a smartphone. So that's one of the things as well in our team that we're also looking at while we're creating these awesome innovations, looking at the impact and reducing that on the environment as well. So do feel free to get in touch with me or anyone at the MHRA if you would like more information on these. Thanks very much.